Hello and welcome back to Redirecting. This is a garden update in which we're going to be showcasing some of the things that we have growing, like our greens and our lettuces and our basil. I'm doing video a little different. I'm just overlaying the voice so that it's not so shaky for those of you who made the request that I keep the camera more still. We have radish and all kinds of things growing. These are cold tolerant vegetables, and so this is why we have these particular items growing right now in our raised beds. These are fire rings for those of you who are not familiar with those, but all of these are cold tolerant. Of course, the basil, that's something different. We're going to cover it all in plastic though. But these red flowers you see right here, these are Cockscomb, also called Celosia. And we learned something interesting about those, in which I'm probably going to get into. They're edible. I was going to do a separate video. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. But those are edible. I have some more that I'm going to show later on in the video. But they're very common. I hear that they're very common in Africa in stews and soups, and even as a side dish. So we're going to do some more exploring on that and get back to you on that after we do a little more research on recipes and things of that nature. But basically I just wanted to share what we have going on in the garden right now. As you know, this is fall right now, so in the fall you have less variety that you're able to grow. But what we're doing is we're going to be pulling some things into the greenhouse. We took some clippings from our tomato plants. Let me get back to the Celosia. This right here in front of you, this is called Red Dragon Celosia. That is such a beautiful plant slash flower, and when we found out it was edible, I was literally awestruck. You learn something new every day. Who would think that you can eat something so pretty? So I definitely plan on growing more next year, y'all willing. We're going to harvest the seeds because that is an annual. Unless you live in a tropical region or a warmer climate, that is an annual. But because of the seeds that it produces, that's okay. We'll collect the seeds and we will plant them in a lot of places because it's going to give that color that we want and that flavor. So now we're in the lower garden. We went through the little pathway to come to these grow bags here. We planted some seeds in the grow bags. Pretty much we have cold tolerant greens. And this right here, these are the sweet potato vines. They just literally take over. As I mentioned in a previous video, these are edible. You can eat the sweet potato leaves as well. And we're going to be saving some of the vines and getting our potatoes real soon here. Later on, I'm going to talk about a particular seed that we are going to be sharing with some of you that is just like sweet potatoes. It's easier to grow, and they taste just like sweet potatoes. Butternut squash, potato squash, taste just like sweet potatoes, and they are delicious. So many different ways to prepare them. But anyway, in these bins, these are called cowlet containers. I got them from a local farmer. And we are growing more greens. We're growing a lot of greens because they are cold tolerant. At some point, we hope to cover all of, well, at least a good majority. These right here, hold on. These are muscadine grapes. Got a lot of these this year. The vines, so we hope to see the progress of those over the years, y'all willing. But anyway, the greens are something that we hope to cover all of the bins at some point with plastic to extend their growth period once it gets colder. They're good in the fall, but when it gets really, really cold, like the winter weather and the snow, they may need to be covered. And so we have a little time for that, so I'm thankful for that. But in the meantime, greens always do much better either in the early spring or in the fall, but in the summer, not so much. These are... The first row is kale, and then the second row is spinach. So, again, we've got a lot of stuff growing on the ground there, directly in the ground. That's not in the raised beds. I'm not going to show much of that, but we do have some seedlings sprouting up on the side of the grow bags that's right on the ground. There are seedlings sprouting up. We put various greens in that area as well because greens are expensive, and if you can have it growing during the winter months, that is great. Going to the store for it isn't. It's very costly. Now right here, what we have is our ginger. As you see, is there in abundance, lots of it. In the bin next to it, we have various lettuce and greens that are sprouting up. And then this bin right here, this is kale. And so we're trying to make sure that we have plenty of green vegetables during the green leafy vegetables during the winter and the fall and winter season. That's very important because our bodies need to be cleansed. And what better way to do that than with food that you have grown yourself? And so this is our garden update, and I hope that I've done a better job with keeping the camera still. Of course, it's a little more time consuming because I have to cut it and piece it all together now. Anyway, this is our son doing some work for us. He doesn't like to be filmed too much. He likes to do his own videos on his own channel. And so he just gave us a quick smile. Okay, family, that is all. Shalom.